Radich with the Investing News Network. Here with me today is Michael Winn, Chairman of Revelo Resources. Michael, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for including me.
So Revelo is a prospect generator focused on copper in Chile. Could you give us a little bit of background on the company?
Yeah, Revelo is a business that was formed, well, the original company, Iron Creek Capital, was formed in 2007, focused on Chile. Probably about middle of 2013, we decided to make a shift of the business from being just strictly a company that drilled its own prospects to really focus on one country and acquiring land. And I'll go into detail more. In 2014, we raised about $5.5 million, and since then we've done 3 transactions. We bought a private Chilean entity that increased our portfolio. We merged with a company called Polar Star Mining in December, and then we did a small transaction with a subsidiary of Altius. And what that did was take our land package from just under 100,000 hectares in Chile to about 350,000 hectares. We have about 20 projects. It's a combination of copper porphyry deposits, gold and silver deposits, targets, and IOCG. We looked in 2013, so where do we really want to be? We saw a bad market coming. I guess we didn't really see how bad markets could actually get. But and we focused on an area where we knew, 1, we could find partners, and 2, in good markets and bad markets, you could actually still do joint ventures, and 3, in a prolific mineral belt. Chile produces some of the best copper deposits in the world, and that's really what we focused on, and that's where we're going to stay. There is a challenge sometimes in Chile, but to put land together, and that's why we focused on the public side first, and now we're going to just continue to focus on increasing the land and doing joint ventures.
Okay, so that all sounds good for prospect generators, and I've definitely heard from analysts that they like the prospect generator model, but to play devil's advocate a little bit, what's the hardest thing about being a prospect generator?
Well, it's interesting if you kind of look at the evolution of prospect generators, and it has been historically not a business model that I think, if you will, the street has been receptive to. I think, with the way the market has changed, capital markets are basically shut off. You really have to look to partners to do it. And I think the analytical world, analysts have decided that it is a good business. The challenge is you end up farming out your prospect to an operator, to a major who now controls it. And you hope your agreement is such that money gets spent, and your biggest challenge is its time. And as anybody knows, a deposit takes a long time to discover. When you don't control it necessarily, and someone else is, and they're spending the money, I think the hard part is, you've sold off 80% over time. They got to spend money. You've lost control. Am I really interested in that prospect now? It's a long time you don't control it. Versus someone who might say, hey, I've got 100%, I'm going to drill it out today. And I think that's really the challenge, is just to convince people that there is less risk when you play it this way. We have 20 prospects. If we get 20 partners and they're spending the money, we're no longer having to find capital to spend that money. That's the most attractive part. But it is a process that takes time, and it takes a long time. I'm in a couple other companies who have done the model, and it takes a long time to build up that portfolio of properties with partners spending, where your chance of discovery is real.
Absolutely.
And I think we've made the 2 very good steps, which is to put the prospective land together. The second step is, we have 3 partners, and the hard part, I think, now will be to bring another set of partners in. This is a tough market. It's tough for small companies and big companies, and so the ability to convince partners to spend money, I think, will be a challenge, at least in the near term. We like it in Chile because there are so many people, and if one thing, they're still spending a lot of money. So, we've signed 10 CAs, and hopefully that increases, and we get some joint ventures done.
Okay, and yeah, you're talking about the tough market, but Revelo's share price is actually up in the last 3 months, despite the falling copper price. Why do you think that is?
We put the merger together of this business in December at, what was at the time, call it a $20 million enterprise. And by the time we finished the merger, we were at about a 8. And I think when you look at the few competitors that are in our space, I think people looked at 350,000 hectares, $3-4 million in the bank. At the time, we had a little bit of an equity portfolio of one company. It seemed exceedingly cheap, and I think there is a lot of value in the market, and I think it was we have a couple shareholders who were new to the business who came in, and they came in through the marketplace. So I think it was a combination of people realized what we had. We're a pretty illiquid stock anyway, so the stock goes from 8 cents to 12. It's not on a lot of volume, so judge us over the longer term if we can hold that increase and we can take it higher.
Okay, fair enough. And back to one of your specific prospects, or four, I guess, the ones you just recently acquired from Altius. What drew you to those?
It was kind of part and parcel. Actually, Altius approached us. They are running a business in Chile similar to us. They saw our transaction with Polar Star, and they said, hey, we'd like to discuss a business arrangement with us. When we started looking at their portfolio, they happened to actually acquire a property called Morsis. It's one of our new ones, and it was in an area we had been looking at for, 2 years to stake ground. And so clearly something that they could do, we thought we could do, that they had staked an area that we liked. So there was a attraction on the property side. And then the relationship to be a partner with Altius, they came in as an investor and put $750,000 into the company. That's a good shareholder to bring to the register and a good vote of confidence for our business model. And we hope it leads to something bigger.
Great. And back to Chile, you talked a little bit about this already, but there's been some problems going on there with Codelco and some of the bigger miners seeing protests at their mines. What have you found to be the biggest benefits and challenges of working in Chile?
Okay. Chile, I guess if you look at it, the single most important aspect is its prospectivity. It is prolific for copper, gold, and silver. Challenges for mining companies there are going to be water. You heard that in the talk this afternoon with Robert Friedland. Chile has issues, but I think when you compare Chile to the rest of, say, the Americas, I think that the pros far outweigh the negatives. The issue with Codelco at their mine, there always are going to be workers' issues, and I'm not familiar with it as much, but there's always going to be some workers' issues, particularly when you're looking to, in this space where I think we may see lower wages in some cases. But I think the pros outweigh the, you look at mining, you look at what can you do over the long run. Can you secure land? Can you hold it cheaply? Can you get partners to spend money? And you need time on your hand. And I think that actually works for Chile really well. And there will be issues, but I think those pros far outweigh the cons.
Okay, yeah, and Revelo's certainly interested there. So one final question, what can investors look forward to from Revelo for the rest of the year? So
I think two parts. One is we've got a land package that probably represents the upper end at the moment of what we would acquire. So I don't think I would see another acquisition of substance. We will try to take some of our projects and turn them into joint ventures. And we hope that one or two, maybe three of our partners exit the year with a drilling program, or even in the third or fourth quarter. No certainty. The partners are looking to spend, their budgets for 2015 are on the order of $3 to $4 to $5 million, and we're hopeful that one or two of them will drill. And in particular, the joint venture with Newmont at Montezuma, which I think has quite a lot of excitement. It was the flagship property of Polar Star. And I think it is an interesting one to watch.
Okay, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm Teresa Matic with the Investing News Network.